Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Would there be any other way to start 2025 off the first Friday of the new year other than with some chaos? Mikey McNuggets, Earl the Pearl, Adam the Bull, Anthony Antonelli. This is not what the panel is going to look like when we actually get the show started. But, Bull, you are never late.
Steve just sold me out. Like, he couldn't not put me on camera at the beginning of the show as I was settling in. And he sold me out with the full picture.
Well, you want to explain to people what's happening.
Even after I risked life and limb to get here on time.
So this is 2 days, 2 straight people out of pocket.
Yeah. Well,
yesterday it was Mike's friend with the Dean Wade and the LeBron James.
And I didn't even get a chance. And now, like, I'm hearing all this humming and the thing.
I was hearing the humming, too.
Yeah, what is going on? I mean, Steve's too busy showing me on camera when I'm not ready, and he didn't fix the humming. What is that cord hanging down there?
We got a little light back there for the producer camera, so we could put a little light on the producer's face.
Yeah,
I'm glad you made it in.
It was like my brain didn't register that I needed to leave a little earlier because normally the weather on the west side is not a factor.
What did I tell you this morning? What did I tell you this morning?
And the snow got really bad as I was leaving the house. And I'm like, oh, I got to clean off my car. Nobody's, people drive like, but
Bull's
anyway.
like, wait a minute, this is not working out.
So,
and Jay Crawford's going to be in today.
Yeah.
He makes his triumphant return, except in classic Jay fashion, on his first day back after a nice long vacation.
Yeah.
He's stuck in traffic coming in
well,
from the east side.
The weather is really bad. It's actually not bad downtown. But on the west side coming in, it was terrible.
Jay said he's stuck in traffic. There's a big accident on the highway.
Yeah, I can see that. Is
when Jay's been late. It's always been
technically, I was not late. Technically, I sat in the chair before the show started.
Before we boom.
Technically, I wasn't completely prepared because Anthony was setting me up. But
that's okay though. You're here.
I'm
You're
here.
Safe.
Yeah.
And we still gonna give.
I know.
I
kind of drove a little unsafe. I'm going to admit it was stupid because I didn't want to be late. So.
Well, he technically did make it, so it was a risk that worked out. But while we got Earl here, I do want to ask Earl one question, if it's okay.
Oh, fine. Go ahead.
You went to the Garfield.
I went to the
Warrensville Heights game.
Garfield Heights yesterday.
How was that yesterday?
It was a phenomenal atmosphere, man. Like, it was a sold-out home. It was our home gym. We did lose that game. I think the score was like 59-45. Marcus Johnson, one of the top-rated players in the state of Ohio, one of the top-rated players in the entire country, put on the show. And it was fun to see. The Johnson family is synonymous with basketball, especially in that area. Sonny Johnson is the head coach at Garfield, where Michi Johnson, who coaches for Warrensville, his son actually played at Garfield. His son was in the building last night. What's his name? Romeo Travis, that played with LeBron James. He was in the building last night. It was packed, sold out house. Like, it was a fun atmosphere. And that's what high school basketball should look like, right? It was fun. I'm looking forward to some more games. They had a game, they being Garfield, against Richmond Heights.
That was the same vibe, right?
Same type of vibe. So anytime that you get these marquee matchups with these upper echelon teams, it's going to be lit. And when you have an evening off, I couldn't think of no better else place to be.
And that kid on Garfield Heights, Marcus Johnson,
he's
a five-star recruit, committed to Ohio State, top 20 kid in the country. He's worth the price of admission.
Oh, really? How big is he?
He's a
6'4", 6'5" guard.
6'5", something like that.
Oh, he's a guard.
Yeah, guard.
Yeah.
But
dude got a handle and a nasty jump shot on him.
Top five-star recruit.
What was the score?
59-45.
Close enough.
Yeah. But it was like a big family affair. Mm-hmm. Like I said, B.G. Johnson, coach for Warrensville, that's his nephew. Yeah. And so it was fun. Of course, I cheer for the Tigers. We didn't come away victorious, but it's okay.
Did the girls' team play too? Did y'all play?
So the girls play Saturday. I think JV is at 11. Varsity is right after. My baby will be out there. Like, that clip is starting to come alive, man. I'm proud of her. She just shooting. She don't care if she missed no more. And so it's going down. Next week, we should go to the game, me, you, and Ant.
Let's do it.
Warrensville boys play Bishop Hogan.
Let's do it.
At the building. So. Yeah.
What day?
Saturday. I think.
I'm in.
Yeah, next Saturday. We there.
By the way, I'm going to be doing tomorrow. I am going to be doing a PA announcing for 5 hours at a swim meet at Rocky River High School.
How'd you get that gig?
Well,
I didn't think fantasy football gods had to do
yeah, you would
swimming PA
think
gigs.
that I would get a pass for that, but if your son is on the swim, or your child is on, it doesn't matter, son. If your child is on the swim team, you have to volunteer.
You have to.
And I thought okay, I do so much volunteering when it comes to baseball. Let other people do the volunteering for swimming, But it doesn't work that way. Everybody's got to get their hours in. So
Bull
I'm doing my hours.
He was
my
trying to pick and
volunteer hours.
choose his volunteer work. He was like, I'm going to go here. I'm going to go here. We got to stop with this fantasy football god stuff. But you know what? It's up to us to change the narrative. Just like it's up to the Browns to change the narrative about their situation. If we don't want Bull walking around here calling himself the fantasy football god.
No. Let's correct that. The fantasy sports god, because I'm great at baseball, too.
It's also very convenient that Bull changed league sources this year, went from Yahoo to CBS.
Yeah.
He changed the waiver wire process without telling anybody this year.
That's not true.
There was no waiver
There
wire
was no
process.
waiver wire. It was just 8 a.m. You could pick up whoever you want.
Anyway, just go get a player.
He changed the amount of players we were drafting mid-draft conveniently. Bull adapted 7 rules on the fly this year just to suit him without telling anyone else.
I
And Mike,
won
you
when
still
we
got
had
the
it on
playoffs.
Yahoo, too. So
I mean, this is, in the NFL, the commissioners come to a round table and they make some decisions. He was just Roger Goodell'ing without anything. It was
sounds like a lot of sour grapes right now.
I'm fine.
And you want to be the god, you got to come for the king. You know what I'm saying? Let's go. I don't even know what I'm saying.
Mike, I'm sure you're fine considering you made the playoffs when you didn't deserve to.
I had the third most
Saying
points
Mike
in the league.
didn't deserve to?
Nope, that was my spot.
By the way, could Jason do any more whining in the text?
He's been whining all year, man.
Oh my God.
He's been whining all year.
The funny thing is, you know the picture he sent? Real quick, to give you guys a little, Alec, Jason will tell you guys, but he's on vacation in the Bahamas.
Yeah.
And
I mean, what a tough life he's got.
His wife signed him up to do a hiking excursion.
Yeah.
Jason, not necessarily the connoisseur of physical activity, not in terrible shape, but Jason much prefers the leisure lifestyle. So they went on some 2,000-foot hike. And before Jason texted us in the group, I got a text from inside the Lloyd family saying, Jason may kill me before I come home. And it was a picture of Jason flipping off the camera that he had sent us at the top of the hike. And I just laughed at it. And then Jason sent us the picture a second later saying, I cannot believe I was forced to do this. And here comes Jay walking in now. But Jason's going to come back ripped. I think that's the conclusion of this whole thing.
I don't think that is the conclusion at all.
He might.
But I don't understand. He's an adult male. I mean, if you don't want to go on a hike, then don't go on the hike.
But he's also a married adult male. And this guy's badge doesn't work anymore.
Is Jay stuck out the door?
Hold on.
No, Jay's in.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Jay.
Happy New Year, my man. I was holding down the main seat till you got here. You know how Tom Brady passed the rings to Baker? That's what this. Go, give me the rings. There we go. There we go.
Oh, thank you. See you.
Absolutely. I've been great, man. Happy New Year.
Be great, spread love.
Yes. Be great, spread love. New foundation. New nonprofit.
That's it.
What's up, guys?
Jay, glad you made it in.
Yeah,
New
it's
Year.
great. It's a crazy day.
I've had some bad trips from the
Yeah.
east side. Obviously, Chagrin Falls is always worse. This is the worst I've ever seen.
I was saying the same thing. For the west
unreal.
side, it's usually nothing, but it was terrible coming in.
Well, I knew it was going to be bad when I looked ahead on the traffic and saw that everything, even west side and into downtown, was bad.
Yeah, it was. I mean, because the visibility is really bad right now.
Well,
too.
it's when you get off 480 onto 77, it was zero.
It's terrible.
Everybody had their flashers on. You couldn't see anything in front of you.
Yeah.
I saw cars in the ditch. A little Kia kissed the back end of a box truck.
Oh boy!
And it just shut everything down.
Yeah.
So it was not good.
What's weird is downtown is really fine. But
better.
Better than anything else.
Yeah, much better.
Coming in on 90 was bad. Obviously, it was bad for you. But then I got downtown and it was fine. Obviously, they do a good. The streets. They clean
90
the streets
from the west side into downtown was bad too.
It was bad.
Man.
The highway was not cleared very well, and So
Boy.
anyway,
It
we all
makes me
made
miss-
it. We all survived.
Makes me miss
It's been a
summer.
weird couple of days. So yesterday, G. Bush calls in sick with a broken ankle.
Quizman wasn't sick with a broken ankle.
Wait, he broke his ankle?
shoveling snow.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Yeah.
And then Tyvus was late because of a flat tire. And then today, Jay's late because of the weather, and I was borderline late because of the weather. So,
Welcome to 2025.
Yeah, right. It's been a crazy start.
One last thing to clear up yesterday. Anthony, you hung out with Tyvus after the show. You took him back to
because he had to wait for
Yeah,
a while.
Ty and I hung out at my new place yesterday for a couple hours while we waited for Lauren to come get him. It was just
Wow.
He has a PlayStation Portable, so he was just playing video games on the couch the whole
Wait,
time.
why did Lauren have to come get him?
He's got a
So-
flat tire.
Fun
And
fact about
he was driving
Cardell Jones's
Cardell
car.
Jones's Tesla.
Tesla. Oh no.
And I guess there's like special tires or whatever.
and they don't come with a spare.
And, yeah.
Ooh. That might be a problem at some
His wife
point.
had to come all the way from Columbus, so
Wow.
The Tesla's up
he
here
went with
until the
Anthony, so she
14th.
wouldn't have to come quite as far.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's very nice.
Because Anthony's the only one that lives like straight south of the city. So,
Man.
yeah. So anyway,
Good times.
yeah,
I have appreciated and enjoyed not having to talk about the Browns for the last week and a half.
yeah. Don't blame you.
Yeah, it's been nice. I went to I don't know why. I guess because it's a tradition. We always go to the last home game of the year, Corey and I, because his birthday's Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
So we always hit the last home game, and what a debacle!
Oh,
I mean, what a
Well, the Browns are now. We're going to talk about this today. The biggest underdog in 3 years of any NFL game.
I was wondering how long it's been since someone's been a 20-point underdog.
Yeah.
Since 2021, the Texans Cardinals.
Even when things were at the lowest, and I had said earlier this year,
Yeah.
for some reason, this feels worse to me than 0-16.
It does.
I think because of the expectations. And also, during 0-16, we looked yesterday upstairs, they were never more than a 13.5-point underdog.
Yeah.
And listen, I think we're going to talk about this later in the show. I wouldn't take the 20 points in Cleveland.
No chance.
Me and Bull talked about this yesterday. The numbers that Bull is going to throw out there for what he'd be confident in taking the Browns
Like
at.
how big the spread would have to be.
We're probably in the same ballpark.
Yeah.
We're all in the same.
Yeah.
It's
not good.
I
It's,
do think that Baltimore, because it's a divisional game, because John Harbaugh is a human being, and unlike Jim, if it was Jim, it would be pick your number.
Yeah.
I think John will. You can manage the score when it's 35-0.
Sure,
You
yeah,
can control
yeah,
it.
right.
But it's God. That's where we are.
I mean, it's-
And I feel like the Browns situation today is close to, if not as bad as it was when we were 0-16.
Here's why I think it's worse, because now it's like you went through all of that so you wouldn't have to.
And here we are
now,
again.
How many years later? 7 years later?
Yeah, here we
You're
are.
going through the same thing again.
Unreal.
Also, it felt like Stefanski and Berry, if nothing else, had raised the floor.
Yeah, you're right.
For the first time since the team's been back, there was a group that raised the floor, and now they just collapsed below that floor. The floor gave out.
Yeah. God,
And that's why it
depressing.
feels even worse.
It is depressing. Yeah, we have a new floor again. Yeah, I don't even know about it, man. It really is. It's becoming more and more difficult to talk about it. Did you guys talk about Bailey Zappe at all?
No, we haven't got
No,
anything
we wait
yet.
for you to
We
get
just-
in. So
Well,
Let's get into it.
Yeah.
And, Jay, we can put a smile on for Bailey Zappe. But before that, the NFL playoffs guys are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can finish the season strong, stronger than the Browns, with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. FanDuel has so many ways for you guys to pick up a W. You can pick which players score a touchdown, how many points each team will score, and so much more. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS/locked-on to join today, not UCSS. This way, you don't miss on any of the biggest games of the year. FanDuel.com/locked-on for your chance at $250 in bonus bets.
all right, let's talk Bailey Zappe. That'll all get us going.
Zappe New Year.
Zappe New Year is right.
Yeah.
40th quarterback to start for the Browns.
Yeah.
Do we know what the next highest number for any other team is over the last 25 years?
I saw it was the Bears. I forget the exact number.
Bears
but
have gone through a lot, too.
more than 40 since '99. I think the stat that jumps out at me, this is 9 in the last 2 years. It's
Yeah.
the most ever in a 2-year span.
Yeah.
And it's one thing if you don't have a quarterback or you don't think you have a quarterback. Well, the Browns are paying a ton of money to a guy they think is the guy, or they thought could be the guy at
Yeah.
one point. And to go through 9 quarterbacks when you're paying one of those $230 million, it's just hard to swallow.
So it's 9 in the last 2 years, but we know Watson and DTR are carryovers.
Right, so it's 7
So
different
it's-
guys.
That, to me, that is the lost in the forest stat. That in the last 2 years, you've used 7 different starting quarterbacks.
Yeah.
That is, it's got to be an NFL record, guys. It has to be.
I would think.
7 different quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a complete change of the quarterback room. Complete change.
And then one.
3 in, 3 new ones, and then an additional one, and we had 2 carryovers.
There's got to be teams that haven't used 7 since '99.
You're probably
There's
right.
probably a couple.
Well, Pittsburgh, New England, those
Yeah, or
come to
even
mind?
if it's more than 7, it can't be more than like 10. I mean, New England. Yeah, New England. You said Green Bay. How many have they
Green
used?
Bay's probably the best example.
Probably.
of that.
I mean, you think Favre had his long run, and
Yeah.
immediately followed by Rodgers,
Right.
immediately followed by Love. I don't know that there probably were
Or
times
called the
where
Malik Willis start here and there.
guys came
couple,
in
yeah,
emergency
but-
starts, but it really, to me, I think when you figure out the quarterback position, and that's the conundrum for every NFL team.
Yeah.
I think the measure of a franchise is coach and quarterback, and where more has there been stability at both than Pittsburgh? When you think about it.
Yeah.
Now, I know
Yeah.
recently they've sort of been kicking the can on that.
Yeah,
And,
yeah,
They
sure.
haven't found their guy since Roethlisberger. And Russell Wilson, although he's a temporary fix, he's not the long-term permanent guy.
No.
But that's an organization that you can look at and say they're the Tiffany organization. They're
Yeah.
run the way. And then you look at the antithesis of that is the Browns with all the coaches and all
Yeah.
the quarterbacks.
Right.
They can't figure anything out.
Yeah, if you have both, you're a great team. If you have one of the two, you're in good shape. You
have a chance to be a great
If
team.
you don't have either, you're screwed.
And that's where.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we are. Does everybody agree that Bailey Zappe was the right call? Because I do strongly agree. I was calling for Bailey Zappe against
Yeah.
Miami. Seen enough of DTR.
To me, I don't think anything of either guy, so it doesn't really matter. I guess it's fine. I mean, outside of the one game against the Browns, he hasn't done. He's got more turnovers than touchdowns in his career, in his brief
12
career
to 11,
too.
yeah.
So, but he did play great against the Browns. I think that's probably the only really good game he played. I don't know. I mean, Bailey Zappe's not going to be the answer. I'm fine watching him play. I can't imagine he's going to do much of anything. I mean, how many reps does he have with these guys? You have no Jerome Ford.
Yeah.
You have no David Njoku. Your best corner, Denzel Ward's not playing this week. So, I mean, I don't know how they have a chance to compete.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
But I know this. I've seen enough of DTR.
Yeah, I agree.
You know when you see it, you know whether there's something there or there's nothing there.
there's nothing there.
There's nothing there.
Yeah,
I hate
yeah.
to say it. What does he have? 2 touchdowns to 10
No,
interceptions?
he's one
Or
of 5 quarterbacks ever to have 10 interceptions and 1 or fewer touchdowns. In the history of the league.
Yeah, that's crazy.
5 quarterbacks
so,
ever have
so
done
we
that.
definitely
Yeah.
and really at halftime of the Dolphins game, I had said to the folks that we were with, I said, I'm fine with Bailey Zappe in the second half. Here's the thing. He's not going to come out and tear we don't think, and tear the Ravens defense apart. But what if he does?
Well, here's what I'm kind of looking at this game in a big picture scenario as. Maybe, and I wouldn't say I feel good about this by any means, but maybe there's a chance Bailey Zappe shows you enough that you bring him back to compete for that backup quarterback spot next
That's
year.
exactly the reason
I
to bring him back.
And that's a giant,
that's
a
it.
giant if.
But you know what it would take? It would take a 400-yard, 4-touchdown performance where he completed 75% of his passes.
basically what he did to the Browns when he was New England's quarterback.
Maybe even more. If it's so eye-popping that you can't ignore it. If it's mid, bye.
Goodbye.
Thanks for playing. Let's move the bus again and see what we can do for next year. But at this point, the best of the 3 quarterbacks is clearly Jameis Winston. I think the real question is, do they bring him back? I think that is the real question.
I was reading Albert Breer's column yesterday, and he was, I don't know if advocating is the right word, but maybe suggesting Kirk Cousins is the answer for the Browns next year.
Jeremy Fowler's also hinted at that
I
pretty
know.
heavily
I
now,
mean,
multiple times.
Kirk Cousins this year looked like he's toast.
Yeah.
I guess it's possible, a full year after the Achilles tear that maybe he'd still be
What
good.
is Kirk, 38?
But he's old. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know exactly, but yeah, I mean,
Been around.
I think I think Brady playing great into his mid-40s made you think like other guys maybe now could do that. No. But the LeBrons and the Tom Bradys of the world are one of a kind.
Yeah.
Like most quarterbacks, by the time they get to 38, it's over.
Well, look at Aaron Rodgers. I think he's the oldest player in the league right now.
Yeah.
And Rodgers said after
Yeah.
he injured Achilles last year that when he came back, he thought he could play another 5 years. Well,
Yeah.
it's because we're all fooled
Yeah.
by Tom Brady's one-of-one status.
Yeah.
And we all thought, well, I mean, here's a guy that doesn't put sugar into his body.
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
nobody should be surprised that he had a longer than average career.
Right.
The fact that it went into his 45 or 46th year is stunning.
Yeah.
But you're right.
Yeah.
Nobody can,
No, even Peyton Manning in his last year when they won the Super Bowl, he was carried the end
He
of
was
that
terrible.
season.
Yeah, he was not good.
I mean, he was going off
They
the
won it in
cliff.
spite of him, which
Yeah.
you never thought you'd say.
Yeah, I mean, but so like it's just it. I mean, so I guess if they want to, have Kirk Cousins instead of Jameis next year as a bridge or whatever. I mean, I think one thing I think we'd all agree on is whether the Browns draft a quarterback this year or whether it ends up being next year, they have to do something that they've essentially never done, at least not since I've been here, and I can't think of when they've ever done this. They have to let that young quarterback watch.
Yeah.
And not rush him in. Because the Browns, I'm not saying any of them would have been any good, and, but most of these quarterbacks outside of Baker were put in there before they were ready to play and had no chance. Now, maybe they wouldn't have been any good anyway, all these guys.
Right.
But
Are you guys, either of you, losing a little confidence in Kevin Stefanski when it comes to how he handles quarterbacks?
Oh,
because
100%.
I have
100%.
lost a lot. I think his cash. DTR's going to play too? What's that? Why?
yeah, that doesn't make any sense.
I don't think you could look at anything we've seen this season in particular and feel good about what Kevin Stefanski has done from a head coaching standpoint. And this is coming from someone who thinks, for the most part, Kevin Stefanski's been a pretty good head coach and's had a terrible 2024 season. But we talk about Kevin Stefanski. He get the best out of all his quarterbacks, right? Bull, you mentioned this the other week. If you go through the list of quarterbacks, the only guy he's really gotten the best out of was Brissett, who was good enough but not great, and then Flacco, who threw a ton of touchdowns and got picks. The other
but you
guys,
can only say that about he got the best out of Flacco in this end of Flacco's career,
well,
not the best of his
But
career.
in the stretch where he was at, like,
Yeah, I
you look at
guess,
the other
but-
guys, it's not as good as I think we thought it was on paper.
And you know what's funny, Mike, is yesterday on the show, I made a big thing because from Jeremy Fowler's article, I said my biggest takeaway, Jay, was that this team is not professional. The organization's not professional.
Yeah.
Right? The Steelers, the reason they are competitive every year is because they're a professionally run organization. There's no Mickey Mouse nonsense in their front office.
Yeah.
There's no Mickey Mouse nonsense with the coach. And when guys that are talented get to be too much of a pain in the ass, they move on. They did it with Le'Veon Bell. They did it with Antonio Brown. Maybe they'll have to do it with Pickens at some point. I don't know. Because he's.
Yeah.
But you could deal with one guy or two guys like that at a time, not a whole bunch of them. And I brought this up because yesterday I heard a quote from a baseball player who said he learned from being on the Brewers how to be a professional. Because the Brewers, in a way, have become like the Steelers. Every year, they're in the mix. Like last year, I thought the Brewers were going to stink.
Yeah.
And they won the division by 10 games. And they didn't do anything in the playoffs, but they're a professional organization. There's a level of professionalism you have to be part of that. And that doesn't exist with the Browns. And the communication in this organization is laughable. And then we saw it again yesterday. Mary Kay gets puts out a report saying Kevin Stefanski's not going to announce the starting quarterback.
Yeah.
It's going to be Zappe or DTR. And then a half hour later, it's going to be Zappe. It's like Kevin Stefanski was trying to keep it a secret, but somebody spilled the beans, and now he's got to say the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's like these things are always happening with this team. And by the way, why keep it a secret?
Yeah, I don't
You think
get that
the
either.
Ravens care who's playing
John
quarterback?
Harbaugh's having nightmares.
Competitive
over that.
disadvantage
I mean, come
to
on.
announce your quarterback.
Yeah.
That's why I say that Stefanski has done some things this season, but particularly late in the season. I think we're going to talk about this later. Well, you guys might disagree with me, but I just thought, I know he's out there for his guy. Stefanski never takes a stand. Yesterday, he makes a strong statement that Myles Garrett should absolutely be the Defensive Player of the Year. And I just thought, look, I know that that's your guy, but for a guy who never says anything,
Yeah.
to go out on that branch, like,
Well, I thought he had to after what Miles said 2 weeks ago about.
yeah, but listen,
Show me this
you've won
is a
3
plan.
games. He's not going to be the Defensive Player of the Year,
Right.
even if he has been.
And who
the
gives
best
a crap if
That's
he-
exactly
who
right.
cares?
That's exactly right.
Yes.
The bigger point to me was, you're worried about that right now?
That's what, yeah.
You're worried about that. You have 3 wins on a team that was expected to go to the playoffs. You're a 20-point underdog, and you're talking about your guy should be DPOY?
Yeah. And
Like,
let's face it, Myles Garrett's only playing this week because he wants to win the sack
That's
title.
it.
Because he's tied with Trey Hendrickson.
And he's never done that.
And he wants to win it. Otherwise, but what's the point of him playing? He's been dealing
None.
with injuries all year.
None.
The game couldn't be less meaningful. It's better off if they lose. in terms of the draft.
Well, when you look at their injury list, this
Yeah.
is a tank.
I mean, come on.
I mean, not that they even need to do that.
But no,
they
I
could
agree.
play everybody, but-
It's like I don't care about these stupid individual awards, and I also agree that it's absurd that he would win Defensive Player of the Year on a bad team. That
You
doesn't
can't
make-
do it. You just can't.
That doesn't
That's like
make any
in
sense.
baseball, an MVP never comes from a team that doesn't make the playoffs.
Almost never.
did-
Almost
show
the
me.
never.
only time it happened, Andre Dawson
did
but
it when
his
the Cubs.
numbers were so head and
Yeah,
shoulders.
you couldn't ignore it.
That's the only way you
Didn't
can
Shohei-
do it on a bad
didn't
team.
Shohei win it on the Angels?
He,
thought he
yeah, I
did
think
a
he did.
couple
I think
years
he
ago,
did.
yeah.
Yeah,
But he's also the
but
exception.
I think when
pitcher.
Andre Dawson won it, I think the Cubs finished last.
They did.
I mean, they were an absolutely
They were
abysmal.
terrible.
So
They were
the
terrible.
comparison is this is a team that's vying for the number 1 overall draft pick,
Yeah.
has a legitimate path
Yeah.
to pick first in the draft.
Yes.
Who saw that coming?
Right.
And you're talking about your guy on defense could be the Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Look, I love Myles Garrett. He's had a fantastic season. You can't have a Defensive Player
No.
of the Year who comes from a team that won 3 games when they were expected to win double digits.
No.
I kind of disagree.
All right, well, we're
All right,
going
we'll
to
get
talk
to it
about
later,
that later.
but-
We're talking about that later. But back to your point,
Yeah.
Bill, and I thought it was a good one about the Browns just being a big part of the problem is it's just not a professional organization.
Yeah.
It was a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, when and by the way, I think they were right at the time when they said this, but Baker Mayfield, we need an adult in the room.
Yeah.
We need an adult in the room.
Yeah.
And 3 years later, this is what you have. You have an organization that looks like
Yeah.
they don't have any adults in the room anywhere.
That's right.
And there's so many problems to fix. I was talking to a buddy of mine who used to be in NFL front office, used to evaluate talent for an NFL team. And I said, where would you start with this? And he goes, look, I've seen a lot of reclamations. I've seen a lot of projects where you're like, he calls it whack-a-mole. It's like, you fix this problem, but you got 3 over here that are popping up. It's like, I honestly don't know. I don't know what they're doing inside to address this because the offensive line is aging out and underperformed. The tight end position, when he's healthy, he's okay sometimes,
Yeah.
and sometimes he's average. The wide receiver room, a complete and total disaster.
Except for Judy.
Jerry Jeudy,
Yeah.
that's it. But
Yeah.
here's what you have. Jerry Jeudy has been great with one guy.
Yeah.
And he throws too many interceptions.
Right.
So it's almost like he's Ferrari, but the key doesn't turn in.
His stat
Yeah.
line against Miami was hysterical, by the way. Did you guys see, when you actually go back and look at Judy's stat, and pull up Jerry Judy's game stats?
I don't remember it
He had
either way.
18. Do you know he has 18 targets in that game? He had 12 catches for 90 yards. His DTR's average not to derail everything,
Yeah.
but it was the most dinky dunky. Just look at this. This is
Yeah.
one of the more funny stat graphics we've made
Oh my God.
all season. It's almost hard to fathom you have that many targets and receptions for that
Yeah,
few yards.
and he's
that
a
average.
speed guy, so
And
him
he's
averaging
exactly.
7.8 yards per reception is not good, and that's DTR's fault, obviously. Jay, you're right. I mean, there's no position group you feel good about. No. We thought the secondary was a huge strength. Outside of Denzel Ward, who are you feeling good about in that secondary?
Emerson has taken a step back.
Newsome, I don't love him.
Delpit has 2.
Yeah,
And Thornhill.
Thornhill stinks. Delpit's been, Delpit's okay.
Did you guys comment on? I'm sure you did on Batonio's comment that they're not that far away.
Actually, we did not comment on that.
When I saw that, I thought
We did it more in Miles.
I love Joel. I love him.
Yeah, but
He echoed what Miles said. And
Yeah.
when we talked about it when Miles said it,
Yeah.
how none of us agreed that they're
yeah.
close.
Well,
You're
I guess he
not
just,
close.
what is he going to say? I guess he doesn't want to say they suck, but
No, I know. But
yeah,
Joel,
I mean, you can't feel good. I don't feel good about anything. I don't know what JOK's status is because of his neck injury, and he's your best linebacker. Your best corners had 6 concussions. Your best defensive lineman may ask to get out of here next year. Your best offensive lineman, Joel Batonio's
May retire.
30, might retire.
Yeah.
Your best wide receiver, okay, that's fine. Your best tight end's injury prone. You don't have a best quarterback. Your best running back, I guess, is Jerome Ford, who's not very good.
Okay.
He's really a number 2 back. So, yeah, there's a ton of holes. This is going to take some time. Now, Washington turned it around quick because
I
they
was
got
going
a
to say,
special quarterback.
if you find the quarterback,
That
it flips
that
everything.
makes up for a lot of other things. But what you see once Washington gets Jaden Daniels is like, oh, they had some other talent here, but maybe we didn't realize how good it was because now they had the quarterback to bring it together.
Was there any talk after the Ohio State win about Will Howard?
Somebody,
and his
a
draft
fan
status?
asked us about that.
Because I watched him completely differently during the last game.
Yeah.
Because I never, ever considered him a draftable option for the Browns.
He has
Yeah.
a day 3 grade. Pretty
Yeah, I saw that earlier.
Yeah.
But I got to tell you, now, obviously, he's playing at Ohio State. He has elite talent around him. And I think
Yeah.
that's part of the problem why these quarterbacks from Ohio State have failed miserably. He's different, though, in that he is a pocket. He's more a prototypical NFL quarterback than any of these other guys that they've ever had.
Well, Stroud is a pocket.
Stroud's
and
a little different because
and
Stroud was not a runner.
Right, and he's the
But-
only one that's had success.
Had some success.
Yeah.
But I watched Will, and I'm looking at deciphering defenses, checking off on receivers. His head's always looking around. And he made a throw, the second touchdown to Ibuka, was the
dime.
seam route.
Couldn't throw better.
Oh my God!
Can't
It was a
throw better.
complete dot,
Nope.
40 yards down
Yeah.
the field. It couldn't have been like
No,
you said. You
couldn't throw
couldn't have
better.
dropped it to him any better.
Yeah, I don't know I don't know. You know,
So maybe he is a 5th or a 6th round pick that the Browns take a flyer on, and who knows what happens.
I'm drafting a quarterback every year till they find one.
Well, they're going to have to.
Not necessarily first round, but you have to leave every draft with a quarterback. Until
You've got to
know
fill the
one of these guys
quarterback
can
room,
play.
and right
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
I don't know how you fill it.
I don't know if they have any. I mean, I guess Watson's going to be on the roster, but they're probably going to let Jameis go. I would move on from DTR. I don't know if they're going to. So, yeah, I mean, I think you got to bring in at least 2 quarterbacks next year.
Yeah, I can't imagine they bring DTR back.
I'll fully admit I'm not a draft expert. I don't know enough about the quarterbacks coming in, but I trust the guys who do this for a living. And everybody seems to think there's a lot of question marks with Sanders and Cam Ward.
Yeah.
And I don't think the Browns should draft either of them, even if they have the opportunity.
Well, I'm afraid that they're going to be in the position where they will be able
Yeah.
to. Even if they pick 3rd, New England isn't taking a quarterback.
Unless New England trades down.
Yeah,
Because
they
somebody
could.
else wants a
They
quarterback.
could.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Vrabel
Interviewed with the Jets.
the Jets, but also there's rumblings. I don't know if it's really been reported. I heard from someone that New England may talk to Vrabel.
Yeah.
If they decide that Mayo
Right,
isn't
right,
their
right,
guy.
yeah.
Oh, he's a Patriots
Which-
Hall of Famer.
Well,
former
I
player,
think that would when you talk about revitalizing a fan base that's been
Yeah.
in a coma all year. I think that would do it.
That's pretty rough firing a coach after 1 year when you have no talent on that team.
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, I don't know how much you watched him. I didn't watch him enough to really make a full
I watched them the
assessment.
first game of the year when they played the Bengals and they won. I still can't believe it.
all
did-
my Patriot.
Oh
fans,
yes, they
friends
looked
Yeah.
good that game. You're right.
Can't stand Mayo,
But-
everyone
Yeah.
I know who likes the Patriots.
Yeah,
are
see, I haven't
out on
watched
him.
them enough specifically, but when I have watched them, I've gotten the vibe that he's not it and he's not going to be
Yeah,
it.
they just have no talent, though. I mean, they got a
That's
young
rough.
quarterback.
It's rough.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, we should probably talk Cavs to pick up the mood
We're
a
gonna
little bit.
ping pong back and forth all day.
Yeah,
on
we'll
the
come
Browns
back
and
to the
Cavs,
Browns,
so.
but
What's up,
Hey,
man?
guys, before we get to the Cavs, I got to read for everybody. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions that you forgot about or that you were paying twice for? It's happened to me before. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for, and Rocket Money made it super easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitor your spending, and helps lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit next year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members about $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon.
all right, let's turn it to the Cavs. They got the Dallas Mavericks tonight. It's the last of their West Coast road trip. These are usually killers for any team.
Yeah.
3-0.
They have a chance to go perfect 4-0
Yeah.
if they beat a Dallas team tonight that I believe is Luka officially out.
Yeah,
He's
he's out for another 2 weeks with
Okay.
the calf injury.
Jay, let me hit you with a stat that we brought up yesterday, kind of
Yeah.
randomly. I don't know that we ever confirmed this is the case, but I think it is. And I want to see if you think it's going to happen.
Okay.
The Cavs, I believe, even if they're not the first team to ever do that, maybe there's been one or two others, but as far as I can think of, and we looked up a few yesterday,
Yeah.
the Cavs may have a chance to be the first team ever to have less losses than the football team in its city in the same year.
Oh, my God.
So the Browns, we assume, are going to finish 3-14. Now the Golden State Warriors, who lost 9, the Raiders that year also lost 9, so it was a tie. The 85 Bears,
God, 9 losses.
the 85, not the 85 Bears.
95 Bulls.
The 95 Bulls, actually, even though they only lost 10, the Bears that year lost less than 10.
Oh, my God.
So the Browns are going to lose 14, we'll assume. So the question is, can the Cavs lose 13 or less, which means they have to win 69 games?
There was never a year when the Patriots were really bad in the 70s and the Celtics were really good.
We got to double check a couple of those.
We didn't cross
There were
every
some-
good team off the list.
There were
but-
some, and that was the 16-game era, too.
Right.
But there were some years where the Patriots were pretty abysmal.
So they're-
and the
they're
Celtics
made-
were
we didn't
dominant.
check
But you know
everyone.
what? Bull, I don't remember this notion of
Yeah.
like 10 losses, 12 losses.
Yeah.
There's only been a handful of those
Exactly.
ever in
Exactly.
the NBA.
The Cavs, Mike put the stat yesterday. The Cavs at this point have the 4th best record in the history of the NBA, behind only the Bulls, the Warriors, and a Celtics team from like 20 years ago. Was it?
the Celtics from 07-08 when they beat
Yeah.
the Lakers in the championship.
Through 34 games.
At the turn of the calendar.
Turn of the
Oh,
calendar.
okay, okay.
So
Fourth
maybe it's not
highest
the
win percentage.
Yeah. They have the 4th highest winning percentage.
Yeah.
I wonder what were the Warriors?
31-2.
Oh my God!
And
I
the
think
Bulls,
I'd forgotten.
Yeah.
the Bulls that year were 30-3, so one game ahead of the pace.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
the Cavs are on a 72 win pace
And
right now.
What's amazing is I
My
believe
God.
Oklahoma City's also on pace to win 70.
Yeah, they're 27-5.
So you have 2 teams that are on pace to win 70 or more games.
Well,
this year.
we laughed about this, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to say what's going to happen in the playoffs. But
Yeah.
right now, it looks like there's a collision course between 2 mid to small market.
Oh, I hope so.
I mean, one small market,
Yeah.
one mid market.
Yeah.
In the NBA. Finals.
So I'm asking you: will the Cavs lose 13 or less games? In other words, will they win 69 or more?
I'm going to say that they will lose more than
Okay.
14 games. Only because every team hits it. Even the Warriors,
Yeah.
in their year when they set the record, there was a stretch where I think they lost 3 of 6 or something like
They
that.
lost 3 of 8, and it felt like
Okay,
the world
3 of
was
8.
collapsing.
It did. It felt like,
Yeah.
the wheels
Yeah.
are falling off.
Yeah.
The Cavs are going to hit something like that, but geez,
Yeah.
that's a great question because at this pace,
They're on pace
They're on
to
pace
have
to
to
do it.
pace
Yeah.
to lose 10 games.
Yeah.
So we talked about this yesterday, Bull, and
Yeah.
I spent way too much time kind of thinking about that question yesterday.
Yeah.
And I came to this conclusion. It feels like when the Cavs lose a game right now, it's an accident. Something went terribly wrong to where the Cavs didn't play up to the standard or the team they're played out of their mind.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's
yeah.
just going to happen. And when they beat the Lakers on Christmas Eve, J.J. Redick in his post-game press conference, and I went back to listen to it to make sure I heard the context properly, said, you have to play a perfect game to beat this Cavaliers team. And if J.J. Redick, who coaches a solid enough West Conference team, right? They're not great. They're not the Thunder.
they're a good team, though.
But
They've been playing better. of
they
late.
have.
Yeah.
They have 2 Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
If he's going to come out there and say, you have to play perfect to beat this Cavs team.
Yeah,
and then
that's
you have the
saying something.
Warriors, who when they came here, all said, this reminds me a lot of when we were coming up. And
Yeah.
you had
Yeah.
the Draymond comments, and Jason wrote the great article
their
on that.
ball movement.
And then they played him again the night before, and Draymond once again said, what are you supposed to do with these guys?
Yeah.
It has gotten to the point, and they're not going to win they're going to lose a few games. It happens. It's basketball. It has gotten to the point where they're playing such good basketball across all phases. They're top 10 in offense. They're number 1 in offense. They're top 10 in defense. They're number 2 in net rating. They're the best three-point shooting team in basketball. They're the only team in the league shooting over 40% of the team from 3. They lead the NBA in field goal percentage. Their clutch time numbers through the roof. There's not a single error you look at and say, that's a legitimate weakness. We have reached a level with this Cavs team where if they're going to lose a game, 9 out of 10 times it feels like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That was an accident. That's how good they're playing right now.
You think the Atlanta Hawks are in their locker room saying, what's the big deal about
Yeah,
this team?
I think they are.
You know they
I mean, they're 2-0 against the Cavs.
and they've beaten Boston.
Yeah.
And they beat, I believe,
That's more matchup related, right?
Yeah. I don't.
Or is it effort where they're
Both.
not giving the effort on most
I don't
nights,
know.
but they're jazzed to play the Cavs and the Celtics.
when they're on and they're making threes,
Yeah.
because they're a very
they're-
streaky three-point shooting team.
when they're hitting, they're
when they're
tough.
hitting, they're extremely, because they're so long defensively.
The Cavs are undefeated when leading to start the fourth quarter.
They also have, I saw this stat. Ready for another great stat?
Yeah.
Cavs have 21 double-digit wins this year.
Jeez.
If you counted everything that wasn't a double-digit win as a loss, they'd be in third place in the Eastern Conference.
They've not scored under 100 the whole season. They have, here's another one, and I double-checked this yesterday. The Cavs have played, 33 games? Is that
Yeah.
it? Okay.
Pull up a stat for you guys real quick.
The Cavs,
34, aren't they 30-4?
No,
If they
29.
win tonight,
29
they'll be
and
30
4.
and 4.
So the Cavs, in 27 of their 33 games, have scored 114 or more points.
Wow.
In 27 of 33. 19 of the other 29 NBA teams are averaging less than 114.
Yeah.
So that's just the Cavs have scored almost every game more than 2/3 of the league is averaging, which is just mind-blowing.
Here's another weird one with the Cavs and the Browns. Or I'll go Guardians and Browns. How many teams or cities, I wonder, had a baseball team that won more playoff games in one series than the football team won in the entire season?
The
Guardian.
Well, they beat the Tigers 3 times.
Yeah. So they had
it was
as
tight.
many.
Right.
And then obviously they beat the Yankees too.
Yeah.
We asked that question.
They had
We
more
did that.
playoff wins than the Browns had regular season wins.
Yeah.
Couple more stats on the Cavs real quick. And shout out to Jackson Flickinger of the Fear the Sword who helped me compile some of these. They have an 11.6 net rating, number 1 in basketball. It's the exact same net rating through 33 games as that Warriors team in 2016.
Oh, wow,
that
that's
won
interesting.
73 games. We talked about the double-digit wins already. Their clutch time numbers, incredible. They have the best net rating in the NBA in clutch time. They have the number 1 offensive rating in clutch time, the number 4 defensive rating in clutch time, which the NBA categorizes as a 5-point game in the final 5 minutes of the game. So if it becomes 6-point, that possession is not considered a clutch possession. It only tracks possessions that are within the 5-point margin. They have the best offensive rating in the league. They're the best 3-point shooting team in the league, and it's the best team 3-point percentage since the 2020-2021 Los Angeles Clippers.
Wow.
So not just best this season,
Okay,
highest
let
efficiency
me
in
ask
the
a
last
question to
couple
wrap
seasons.
this topic up.
And last thing on this real quick, they've hit 18 threes in 7 consecutive games. 18 or more threes as a team. They had 13 games all of last season when they hit 18 or more threes.
So what I was going to ask you is, this is a roster that was run back.
Mm-hmm.
How? How do you explain this? This was a team that lost its first-round playoff series 2 years ago.
Yep.
Won a first-round series barely last year, and then was bounced in the second round. And now you're talking about not just great this year, we're talking all-time
Historically
greatness.
great, yeah.
How? Is it simply Kenny Atkinson, who, by the way, was the coach of the month for the second straight month?
Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk about that in a little bit,
Yes.
too, with some of that. The coaching certainly helps. Atkinson has hit every button properly this year.
Okay.
He has not missed a single thing when it comes to his substitution patterns, the confidence he's instilling in guys, the ability to make certain lineups work together that last year weren't working nearly as well as they have this season. It also falls on the players. Mobley's taken that step. Now, you can say that's partly Atkinson instilling the confidence in him to take and make some of the shots.
just
that
demanding more
He had
from
it
him.
demanding more. Mobley's also 22, 23 years old. He's still developing into the man and the player that he's going to be long term. Darius has found his shooting rhythm again. He's not dealing with all the injuries that led to some of the downfalls last season.
And they've just been healthy.
They've been healthy. They're
Yeah.
making shots. And I think most importantly, they're all sacrificing for the betterment of the team. It's really hard to give away shots and pass up a good shot for a great shot if you don't think you're going to get the ball back in that same opportunity next time. And the way they're playing and their assist rate, their assist-to-turnover ratio, the extra pass rate, all the advanced metrics show that the Cavs are making that extra pass every time. And when you're willing to do that consistently, you're impossible to defend if you're going to hit 40% of your threes.
Yeah, you're right.
Literally impossible.
You got to think, I'm
perfect
sure there's a
formula.
stat for this, that the quality of their shots
It's up.
is
way
got
up
to
this
be
year.
way up from
this year.
last
Yeah.
year. And no
Isn't
matter
that because they're making the extra pass and
Right.
guys are just
Right.
they're taking open shots?
when
That-
you're unselfish and making more passes. I mean, the Cavs feel like the most. I mean, I don't watch Oklahoma City play any kind of regular basis, but they feel like the most unselfish team in the NBA.
They're up there, for sure.
They're,
Wow.
and that's a big part
that
of
would
it.
be what, passes per possession, or how would you measure that?
I prefer pass possession is not great because you can do 17 passes just to set up the action you want to
Yeah.
get an ISO. I like the driving kick rate, which I'd have to pull up the exact numbers, but the Cavs, when I last checked, this probably a week and a half ago for the Ultimate Cavs show, them and OKC, to no one's surprise,
Yeah.
two best teams in the league, had the highest driving kick rate in the league.
Interesting.
Yeah. And it's just it's
been a perfect
remarkable.
formula.
It's been and health. Obviously, health is a big thing.
Yeah.
None of their stars have been hurt. Obviously,
on wood.
Max Strus missed a lot of time, and Okoro's missed some time, and a
Right.
few other guys have missed games here and there. But they've been as healthy as you can be. And, couple of small tweaks to the roster. Ty Jerome, who missed all of last season,
right.
has been a factor. And even
All of those have been huge.
yeah,
Jalen Tyson. who
Jalen
wasn't-
Tyson's
He's
giving them some good
contributed.
minutes here,
Yeah.
and it's. I mean, I went from not giving a rat's ass about the regular season to being locked into pretty much every game.
2 years ago you
Yeah.
said that, and then
Yeah.
last year you said, I'm really done with
Yeah.
the regular season now.
And now I'm locked into every
Now
game.
and the fans are. The ratings are through the roof.
Could you imagine last year if I told you, hey, a Wednesday night Cavs Thunder game is going to have Bull glued to his TV?
Yeah, I wouldn't have believed it.
And I love that they're playing the Thunder a couple of games here. It's disappointing that Luka's not playing, but still Kyrie. I mean, I want to see these exciting matchups, and they're on national TV a lot in the next
Coming up. Yep.
Couple of
Rightfully
months.
so.
Yeah.
Both the
Fans want to see him.
Both the Thunder games nationally televised, and we're trying to get some of the people calling that game to come.
Yeah,
to
I
preview us.
reached out. I haven't heard back from. I have to reach out again today to see if
We hit up the ESPN PR people too.
Yeah,
see if
and
they can help us.
nothing from them.
Steve's got an answer I haven't heard yet. but
Okay.
We're working on getting in some big time guests for a big time game that deserves some big time coverage.
It would be fun for sure. I'll follow up legs with another text today. All right, go ahead, Ant.
All right, guys, we're going to bounce back to the Browns here, but real quick, the NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. And FanDuel has so many ways for you to be able to pick up a W, which you can bet on which players will score a touchdown, how many points each team will score, and so much more. You just have to visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to join today. This way, you'll always be set for the biggest games of the year. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon for your chance at $250 in bonus bets.
All right, let's talk about the Browns again. This is always a question mark at the end of every season. You look and say, well, which of the players are at the ends of their rope here with the Cleveland Browns? This one's particularly tough for me.
Yeah.
A lot of times they're obvious. This could be a long list. Which Browns are likely playing in their final game in an orange helmet tomorrow?
I made a whole list. Do you want?
If you made a list, I want to hear a list.
All right, let's start with
because I
your list
started
for
the
you.
list and I'm like, this is going to be long.
It's tough because you're like, well, is Myles Garrett going to force a trade? Is Joe
you don't
Bitonio
know.
going to retire because they're frustrated with the situation?
Right.
What's going to happen with Deshaun Watson, and how much will that
The
factor into the others?
I put a
JOK
question next to it.
injury. There's
Will
a
he ever
lot of
play
question
again?
marks.
So these are
Go ahead.
the names that I think people would recognize that I think. So
Yeah.
guys who are going to be free agents that don't have an extra year on their contract at the Browns, I don't anticipate re-signing. Deonta Foreman, gone, right?
Yep, no reason to
Yeah.
bring him back.
Elijah Moore,
Gone.
Yeah, he's gone.
Jed Wills,
Gone.
James Hudson,
Gone.
Mo Hurst.
Gone.
I like Mo Hurst,
Mo
but
Hurst?
the injury part of it, if they're trying to get
he's-
younger at the
you know,
position.
I mean, he could come back, but I don't know that it matters if he does or doesn't.
No, he's like a role guy that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those guys were role guys that you mentioned outside of Jed
Well,
Wills.
These are the guys that
Yeah.
were at expiring contracts.
Yeah, go ahead.
This next list has some guys that, since we've been doing a show, the Browns have paid money for, who would have to end up being cut. Thornhill,
Gone.
right?
Absolutely.
Ogbo,
I haven't seen enough to make me want to
Yeah, I think he's gone.
see more.
David Bell.
Gone.
The only reason he's here now is because he got hurt in training camp, right?
What about Tomlinson?
Can they get out of him with no
I
hit?
don't know 100% what the cap implications
Yeah, I mean,
on
I
that
think
would
the
be.
Browns,
I'll look it up real
anybody
quick.
that's not been super productive, and Tomlinson's been okay, but they're paying him a lot of money. I think if they can get out of him his contract, you got to move on from some of these guys. They have no choice.
I agree
They've
with
got to
that.
get cheaper options. They've got to start hitting on their draft picks, which they haven't.
Dalvin Tomlinson will be back next year. He is a smaller cap number than a dead cap number.
Oh,
So
okay.
Dalvin
Okay,
yeah.
Tomlinson,
Well,
he will be back next season.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
can
yeah.
assure you of that. Pierre Strong, thank you,
gone.
but
I mean, that's
and then guys who I put as question marks as potential retirements, trade requests, and/or injury complication was Bitonio, Miles, and JOK.
yeah. I think all three will be back. Maybe I'm being
Optimistic.
yeah. I don't know, but
I don't know how much you guys got into this.
Yeah.
Because I was gone when the comment was made by Miles.
Oh, we dove deep into
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
We did.
I don't see a reason to bring him back. I don't. You're in rebuild mode. What difference is he going to make? Is he going to be the difference maker on this team?
no.
What would you fetch if you put him on the market?
I would think you get two first round.
firsts.
I would hope you'd get
Plus.
two firsts. And you know what? At this where they are right now, it's about gathering assets for the future. I wasn't here also when you guys discussed the extension or the contract reorg for Deshaun Watson.
I wasn't either for that.
I don't like that. You're just spreading the pain longer.
Yeah.
You know, rip the Band-Aid off, get rid of it in 2 years, and start fresh. Now there's going to be hits into the future beyond 2 years, and so you're just extending your misery.
Yeah.
Now I know the cap's going to go up, and maybe it won't be as punitive, but it's still going to be big, and it's going to hurt. I'm in favor of, you got to get on a plan. I said I had a conversation with a former talent evaluator in the NFL, and he said, here's what's most important. And he says he assumes that this is going on right now in Berea. You're all coming together and saying, what is our future plan? And I asked him, I said, what's the most likely option? He goes, well, if I were in that room, I would advocate for a 2-year rebuild, starting now.
Yeah.
And that's all pinned to the Deshaun Watson clock.
Yeah.
So, and I asked him also about the Myles Garrett trade. He goes, why would you keep him? Why would you keep him? You're white flagging it for the next 2 years.
Yeah,
anyhow.
I mean, if you think, listen, there's a good chance in 3 years Myles Garrett will still be a great player, and maybe that's when you're good again. But if you trade Myles Garrett, now you're going to have at least 4 first-round picks the next 2 years,
which their
gives you a
NFL
better
clock,
chance.
their NFL clock is just starting.
Right.
Myles is, I think we'd all agree, Myles is, if we're lucky, at the peak. If we're lucky.
No, I think he's still
probably
at the peak.
I think he's in
more.
his prime, like right now.
Yeah, no, but what I'm saying is, does he have more football ahead of him than he's already played?
No.
No.
The answer is likely no.
No, but he might have 5 great years left.
may.
And
He may.
so maybe you're giving up. Maybe in year 3, okay, you're good again. Now you don't have Myles Garrett. So I think it is a question because he could come out the other side. But the thing is, he's not going to be happy when the team loses double-digit games the next 2 years.
And that's what it looks like.
And that's what it's going to be at least 1 more year, if not 2 more years, maybe more. So I think they will I think they should trade him this offseason. It's hard to say that because he's so great, you don't really want to give him up. But I don't know that they'll do it. But if they can,
he may force their hand.
if he does, then now you got a ton of draft capital. And then the argument's going to, of course, be, well, do you trust Andrew Berry to make those picks?
And the
Which
answer
none
for
of us
me on
do.
that is no.
No, but
definitively no.
Yeah.
I was kind of like lukewarm on it when the report came out that, and there were 2 guys that made it, both reputable guys, and they both said, yeah, Stefanski and Berry are coming back for 25.
Right.
I was like, I'm okay with Stefanski. I don't really know about Berry.
Yeah.
The more I look at what's happened during his tenure at the draft, the more I am convinced he just isn't the right guy for this situation. And when you start, what are the hits?
no, there's not.
What
No.
are the hits?
It's not a ton
now
of hits.
if you want to list the misses, they're long and
Right.
deep.
Yes.
I think the draft stuff's a little overblown, but yeah, I'm fine with it.
I don't think it is.
Why
because
would it be a little overblown?
to
That's
me,
how you build your team.
He spent his 5 first-round picks was spent on Deshaun Watson, and you could say, well, most of us wanted Deshaun Watson, which and many of us did.
It failed.
But it's not my job. My job is not NFL GM.
I just think when you look at the track record of what he has,
but let me just finish.
the hit rate is so low.
First-round picks. He used 3 for Watson, 1 on Jed Wills, 1 on Greg Newsome. All
F.
the waste.
F.
That's an F.
I can't even go as high as a D. F.
Second-round picks, a lot of those got traded away.
Still got JOK in the second round.
You got JOK in the second round. That's a great pick.
Well, right now it's a question mark.
I can't
no.
hold against him if it's an injury.
And by the way,
Yeah.
After 1 year, there were guys on
We thought
this
it was
show
bad.
that were saying he's done.
Right, but
He's done.
until he got hurt, he had been great for the last year and a half. That's a great pick. But what are the other high picks that have been so good?
Well,
Grant
look at the
been
receivers in the
okay.
3rd round.
I'm not saying it's good. I just think when you look at other
Anthony
teams,
Schwartz, David Bell, the trade to get Elijah Moore.
it was a miss, yeah.
Like the hits are very, very few, and the misses are long. So I just think there's absolutely no way, because you're going to rebuild through the draft. There's no way you can sit in the offices in Berea and say, I feel good about moving forward with our draft picks with this current general manager.
I'm not saying I feel good about Berry, and I'm totally fine. If the Browns wanted to move on, I'm not going to stand here and be like, that's a wrong decision. I'm anti. I just think when you look at some of the other teams who have drafted, the hit rate as an NFL GM making these picks, I'm telling you, it's like 35-40%.
Okay, he's nowhere near that.
He's right in that range.
No,
though.
he's not.
JOK.
He's a
We
0%
mentioned
on first-round
JOK.
picks.
I saw this here. Let me pull
Yeah,
this
go
up.
And the
ahead.
third
I
round
saw.
picks.
Let me see some. Is this from some Browns
no, I
website
saw
propaganda?
I saw this the other day. Hold on.
Like Joe Schmo, who
right,
writes
this
for
is-
the Brown
no.
and Blue Report?
No, this is the 49ers.
Yeah.
Pretty good team you think drafted, right?
Yeah.
Well, not really. I mean, they got lucky with Mr. Irrelevant, and they
did.
missed wildly with their quarterback.
That my point is,
Go ahead,
you go through a lot of these drafts, there's
Yeah.
a lot of nobodies. In 2020, their first round pick was Javon Kinlaw, who they've cut and is now on
Yeah.
the Jets. They did take Brandon Ayuk with their other first round pick.
Hit.
Big hit.
Yeah.
The next three guys, Colton McKivitz. You ever heard of him?
No.
Me either. Charlie Warner, Woerner,
No idea.
and another guy I've never heard of. Next year, Trey Lance in the first round, which they
Disaster.
traded multiple first round
The only
picks.
reason that was made good was because they hit on Mr. Irrelevant the next year.
Aaron Banks, offensive lineman. I'm unfamiliar.
Nope.
Maybe he's
I
good,
don't
maybe
know.
he's
Don't
not.
know him.
Doesn't mean he's not good.
I'm just saying I've never heard of
Yeah,
him.
I don't know.
Trey Sermon, who's now on the Colts, so they already cut him.
He
Moved on.
stinks.
Third
Yeah.
round pick.
Yeah.
Ambry Thomas, third round pick.
So you're saying because the Niners have been banned,
I'm just going through like
that Andrew Berry gets his one team?
No, I'm not. I'm just okay. Ready for the next one. This
Yeah.
is the Rams, who have a couple late round hits. And
Well, Williams and Nakua. Listen, when you
Jeez.
hit that
The
big,
Rams won a Super Bowl.
I'm just saying. You look at other teams. It's
And
not
they're in
like
the
everyone
playoffs.
has 100% hit rates.
Who's arguing that everybody's
Nobody.
gonna
I told you I'm not for it, but I'm just saying.
nobody
Berry's-
has 100%
Berry's
hit rate.
closer to
The draft
30%
is
than you got other
absolute-
guys.
It's just gut. There's no science to it whatsoever.
That's my point. But all these guys miss.
Mike,
I'm not defending
everybody
Berry.
has
I'm just
misses.
saying it's not
Everybody has
as
misses.
bad as it's been
but
drawn out
here's,
to be.
Here's how you can grade the front office of an NFL team.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see your hits. Where are your hits?
I know JOK's a legit hit.
Okay, I'm all ears.
I'm done.
What else?
I'm done.
And that's a problem.
I'm done. I mean, if DeJuan turns out to be a stud, but I don't feel confident in that with the injury history.
I felt better about it last year than
We
I do
felt
right now.
good about Emerson. He took a big step back this year.
Big step back.
I liked what I saw from Juwan Briggs. Mike Hall looks pretty good. As
I
a
like
rookie.
Mike Hall. You know who convinced him to draft Mike Hall? Mike Vrabel.
Yeah. So
There haven't been enough hits.
I'm not saying
Yeah.
there has. I'm just saying it's not like these other teams are every year they're finding 4 or 5
Well,
studs.
you're
in
picking the
this-
team. There are plenty of teams that
All right,
do
the
hit
Rams.
more often.
You want the Rams real quick? I have it up right here. In
Yeah,
2020, Cam Akers, cut and gone. Van Jefferson, cut and gone. Terrell Lewis, cut and gone. Terrell Burgess, cut and gone. Bryson Hopkins, cut and gone. Jordan Fuller has started 13
What are you
games
doing?
for
Just
them.
1 year of a draft? I don't know what
I'm
you're
going
doing.
through 2020. I'll go through
Here's-
2021. I'll go through
Look,
2022.
I don't have the Rams draft
Yeah.
in front of me. Here's what I know about the Rams
Here it
draft.
is.
This is all all
But
I
they
I'm
need
just
got
telling
some
you,
big
they-
hits.
Kieran Williams, Puka Nakua.
So they got 2 hits.
Mic drop.
2 hits.
Not just hits.
But they're
one of the best
still
running backs
Pro
and one of the
Bowlers.
best
point
wide
is,
receivers.
I'm not defending Barry. I'm just saying it's not as
You are
bad.
defending Barry.
It's not as
Yeah.
bad if Barry's at like a 25% hit rate.
Yeah.
But Mike
The
is
league-
not.
No.
But like
He's nowhere near that.
But what do you call it a hit? Like
A
Newsom's
hit.
been-
We know
Newsom's
what
been
a hit is. I mean, we all
Newsom's
say
been a hit.
I don't.
He's a top 64 cornerback in football. He's a
top
starting
what?
64. He's a starting cornerback in the NFL.
Okay, that doesn't make him a hit.
Who?
Newsom.
Oh.
You got a starter for 5 years with the first round pick. That's a hit.
Yeah,
Well,
but
it's a
somebody's
single.
got to start.
It's a single. It's a single.
Yeah.
That's my point. It's not a complete.
but the
Kieran
Rams hit 2 home
Kieran
runs.
Williams and Puka Nakua are home runs.
Their
This is a
entire
team-
2020 draft has been cut.
But this is a
That was
team. Mike,
5
this-
years ago.
That was
This
the
is a
draft we're
team
talking
that
about in
made a
Barry's
trade
regime.
a handful of
Yeah.
years ago
Yeah.
that everybody said this is the all-time ultimate all or nothing trade.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
And because
I'm
if
not
they
saying
don't hit
Barry's
on it,
good.
they're going
I'm
to be
just
awful.
saying
And they haven't
Every
been
GM
awful.
doesn't have this crazy track record
You're
of
making
success.
it seem like we think everybody's got a great track
They
record.
don't.
No.
But you
We're
said
saying-
maybe 25%. Like I'm waiting to hear the hits from the Browns draft.
The Browns have a couple of singles.
Browns drafted 2 kickers in the Andrew Berry draft
Yeah.
that we don't even have anymore.
The draft 2?
I think they did.
They drafted Cade
Cade
York
York.
and they drafted
Before that-
Austin Seibert. I
Yes.
think.
Was that Barry?
Yeah.
I don't know if that was Berry
I
or if
don't
that
remember.
was
Hey, what year
Dorsey.
I think that was Dorsey. I think that was pre-2020, but I could be wrong.
Mike, the Rams are a bad comparison. A, they hit on 2 home runs.
Give me a
B,
team. Give me any
They
team.
traded first-round picks to get Matthew Stafford, who led them to a Super Bowl.
I told you if you want to fire Barry, I'm totally fine with that.
But-
I just think the complete rampage of he can't draft.
Okay, your
is
finger's on the button
overblown
then. Your finger's
because-
on the button, okay? You're the man that has to make the call.
Yeah, I'm firing him.
You're going to sell to the fan base that the guy that's made the picks the last 5 years is going to be the guy that gets us out of the mess that he helped create.
No, I would fire
I
Andrew
can't
Berry.
sell the fan base.
I would
by-
fire Andrew
And
Berry.
by the way, when the best thing you could say about Greg Newsom is he's a starter, when you drafted him in the first round, I mean, you're lucky you get a single for that.
Somebody's got to start.
There are much worse picks than a guy who starts for 5 years and leaves.
Yeah, that's not a glowing endorsement.
Once again,
Yes, there are worse
at
picks.
this. I would fire Andrew Berry. I
Yeah.
do not trust him to rewrite this franchise. I just think some of the narratives about him being the worst drafter in the history of the world. have
Nobody's
been
ever said
overblown.
that.
I haven't said that.
No.
It's just not good enough to get this team out of the mess he helped them create.
How many GMs do you trust less than Andrew Berry? A lot?
I don't know every GM.
Yeah. You just brought up the Rams and the
I
Niners.
take Les Snead in a heartbeat, and I take
Exactly.
John Lynch in a heartbeat. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
And so those are your two examples of bad
Well, I had more.
drafts.
Y'all just-
And yet, give me another team.
Give me a team. I'll pull up any team you want.
Here's the thing,
Give me
Mike.
any team you want.
Take the Broncos.
Mike, ultimately,
Broncos.
you can grade these drafts on the micro with the individual talent. But there's one scoreboard that matters the most. There's only one really metric that talks about an organization's success or failure, and that's your win rate. And so San Francisco and the Rams, their win rate has been outstanding. You look at what the Browns' win rate has been, it's abysmal. It's just not good. That's a sum of all of the moves that you make.
Yeah.
And I just can't trust this organization's future to be in the same hands that it's been in the past. Because you're going to get more of the same. Is he suddenly going to become this great finder of talent?
I reiterate, I'm okay moving on from Berry.
Yeah, but here's the thing, Mike. To say, okay, there's other GMs that have screwed it up too. That's true. But there are GMs who have had success in the draft, are there not?
I told you, give me a team. I'm ready to pull up any team.
Okay,
right
let's
here.
look at this. Let's look at the Steel. Let's look at the Ravens.
Ravens.
Yeah.
Ravens 2020 draft. All right, you ready?
Yeah.
We'll go through the Andrew Berry timeline of Patrick Queen.
Excellent player.
Grand Slam home run.
They didn't re-sign him. He
They
left.
didn't re-sign him.
No, we're talking draft, right?
Yeah. They
Right?
didn't re-sign him. You're right.
They didn't re-sign him.
Yep.
He wasn't
No.
good
He's a
enough.
good player.
Well, listen,
Good.
but that could be for a myriad of reasons. When we're talking about drafting now, not trades and re-signs.
Yeah.
We're talking about talent evaluation of 22-year-old
That's
men.
not a home run, but it's better than Greg Newsom.
I give it a double.
All right. Okay, fine.
Wow, I'm surprised you guys give it only
He struggled
a double.
early in his career in
Yeah, but
Baltimore.
he
Got
was a
better
great
at the end.
player at the
Yeah,
end.
he was.
He worked himself into a situation where he could get paid a lot more money.
Yeah.
And at that time, the Ravens said, we have bigger needs to fill.
Yeah.
So they went in a different direction.
And by the way, the Ravens front office has been around longer than 2020, so
But I'm saying this
we're
is
going to
from-
ignore
from-
Lamar Jackson.
No,
the
no, I'm
fact
saying
that
this from
they
the
drafted
Andrew
him.
Berry timeline.
Okay, fine.
J.K.
That's not a fair comparison.
J.K. Dobbins
That's not a
was-
fair comparison because the Ravens didn't need a quarterback during that time. The Browns have, but go ahead.
J.K. Dobbins was their second-round pick.
Yeah, he got hurt. What are you going to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I like the pick, and they liked the pick.
Yeah.
Matabike was their third-round pick, who's
Yep.
been an absolute stud.
Yep.
Yeah, great.
Malik Harrison,
Don't know.
unfamiliar. He's only played 14
Well,
games.
only give us through like fourth-round picks. I mean,
That's the third-round pick.
Yeah.
Tyree Phillips,
I don't know.
Yeah, at this point, you're
Ben Breederson.
the chance of making
Is
the
he an
team.
offensive lineman?
Yeah, they took Geno Stone in the 7th round.
Great pick.
Wow.
Great pick.
Yeah.
They also took
Seventh round.
They also took James Prochet that year.
Wow.
2021, Rashad Bateman.
He's turned
Yes.
into a solid player.
Yes,
He's not,
he has.
He hasn't been
He's
worth
a
a first-round
single.
pick, but he's a single.
Yeah, I'd
He's,
take
he's
him.
in the same plane
I don't
as
love
Newsom.
him. It's
Same
not a
plane
great
as
pick,
Newsom,
but
yeah.
he's had unlike
Let me
Greg
ask it this
Newsom,
way.
his arrow's pointing up
Would
right
you take
now.
him on the Browns right now?
I would. He'd
Yeah,
be their
well,
second best receiver.
Every team would take Greg Newsom,
Yeah.
too.
Not every team.
Odafe Owe.
He's very good.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Ben Cleveland.
No.
I think he's
He's
starting
okay.
offensive
Yeah,
lineman for them.
but he's
think he's
not
okay.
a difference maker.
Yeah, well,
Brandon Stevens.
I'm not sure.
No.
And Tylen Wallace are their top 4 rounds.
Don't know.
No one later who
Yeah.
I've ever recognized.
Got it.
2022. So that's an okay draft. Okay.
So far, it's a lot better than Andrew Berry.
And take this
Well,
into
you
account.
picked the best team now.
Also,
Well,
but
Mike,
also take
I'm
this into
looking
account.
in the middle of this
They're
next
picking
draft.
late every year.
Hold on.
Yeah,
This
right.
next
That's right.
There's a lot of positions they just don't need.
Yeah.
this next
That's
draft
right.
is loaded. They're the best drafted team in football. So
Mike,
yeah, they're really
shouldn't
good.
the goal be to have a GM that could draft like the Ravens?
if there was a
like
million
the
Ozzie
shitty
Newsom,
teams?
there was a million. No, it's not
It wasn't
Ozzie
Ozzie Newsom.
Who's
No,
the-
Ozzie was gone
Who's
by
the new
then.
guy? Who's the new guy?
What's his name?
DaCosta.
DaCosta.
Yeah,
Who
yeah.
does a
And
great job.
And you know what? They didn't miss a beat.
No.
I mean, Ozzie was great.
Because he
Yeah,
came through Ozzie's system.
This next draft is absolutely
Go ahead.
loaded. Hamilton,
Great.
stud.
Yeah.
Linderbaum, stud.
Great offensive lineman.
Abajo, the pass rusher, who's been pretty
very
good.
good.
And didn't they go to the conference championship game that year?
Not that
So
year.
where were they drafting?
They had two
either
first-round
all
picks.
these years they were in the bottom 10.
Hamilton was 14, Linderbaum was 25.
Yeah.
So whoever they got.
Yeah.
Daniel, I can't pronounce his last name, Falele, the big offensive tackle who's
Yeah, he's
starting
good.
now.
He's a
Good player.
starter.
They took in the 4th round Isaiah Likely.
When Mark Andrews retires, he'll be a top 10 tight end. Yeah.
They also took Jordan Stout, their punter, in that round.
Yeah, I'm not sure about
And then their last 2 picks.
All right, go ahead.
Never heard of.
I don't think we need any more from the Ravens. The point is,
They're really
the
good at
bar
drafting.
should be the good drafting teams.
Well, yeah, if you can
It
get
can't
that.
be
yes.
Nobody's
average.
saying
Okay.
I'm sure there are fans saying Andrew Berry's the worst GM in the league. He might not be the worst GM in the league. He might be 25th. He might be 28th. He might be 23rd. Either way, it's not good enough.
And you're not going to get out of where you are
Yeah,
if you let the pilot keep driving the car.
that's right.
Like, it's got to change.
I also, once
Something's
again,
got to change.
let me reiterate for the 10th time.
Yeah.
I am not saying Andrew Berry should keep his job.
Yeah.
I am
Right.
all in favor of making a change at the general manager
Yeah.
position because, to your point, I don't trust him to get the highest of
There
picks
you go.
right.
Now,
And
the
I think
bigger problem
my
is,
point just is
if
it's
not
not
Barry,
as bad.
who? And
Yeah.
because they've not, like, if you're going to bring John Dorsey back, I'm all in on that. But
Would he leave Detroit?
I don't know. Would you?
Not right now.
I don't know.
He'd have more
and-
power here.
I have no idea how to be like, this guy's going to be a good next GM. Like, it's
Yeah,
such a
there's
crapshoot.
no way to know that.
Just give me
I
John
mean,
Dorsey.
and-
I've seen enough of John Dorsey to know I'd take him
He
again.
still should have gotten Josh Allen. I can understand not taking Lamar, I guess.
But you know what's funny about that draft is
Yeah.
how this year has changed the narrative on the whole
Oh,
thing.
yeah, because now
I mean,
it
Sam
was just
Darnold-
2 quarterbacks, now it's 4.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, you can always, every year.
Come on,
there's
Josh
guys
Rosen,
are
make
up,
that comeback.
guys are down. Yeah, Josh Rosen, I think everybody's pretty much given up on.
Yeah.
I know he's your all-time favorite quarterback. All right, Ant.
All right, guys, we're going to go back to the Cavs here, but did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions that you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? It's definitely happened to me. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for, and Rocket Money made it super easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. So go cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon.
Damn, Legs is actually on countdown pregame that night,
Gotcha.
so he won't be in. But I just asked him if he has any trips to Cleveland the rest of the season. We'll
he
get him in
comes in-
studio
yeah,
when he
yeah,
does. We'll get him in studio.
He's got to play the Papa shot with us.
Absolutely.
Determine who the best shooter of UCSS is.
Actually, he'll probably say that's not a true indication of shooting.
It's not. It's not.
Get me on a real court.
I saw
I want a shootout, a 3-point shootout between him and you.
I saw this
Anytime he wants to
video.
hoop.
You never know these days if these videos are real or not. There's so much fake stuff out there. But I saw this video of this kid who, I don't know, he was a teenager, playing Papa Shot.
Yeah, it is
And he
real.
was making
I've seen
shot
it.
after shot after shot after shot. It
Yeah.
was crazy.
He plays like Jay
It's
does.
real?
Yeah,
It's real.
yeah. When Corey and I do it,
Yeah.
That's how Jay plays.
there's a 45-second clock.
Yeah.
And the record, Corey has the record, but he shoots underhand. And I think so I don't recognize it. Okay? I mean, he's like this.
He's got an asterisk
Yeah,
next to his
yeah,
name.
yeah.
There's a huge asterisk next to it. Shoot the ball. Okay? But in my effort to chase his record,
Yeah.
he's just getting off way more shots.
Right.
Because he's doing it underhand. There's
He's a
no
volume shooter.
Yeah, it's quicker.
So it's way quicker. And I'm telling him, I'm like, that's nothing but a flip to the second baseman on a turn for a double
right.
play.
No.
It's too easy. Now, he might miss 5 or 6 in his 45 seconds. In my effort to beat his record, I have to go absolutely perfect. I've
Yeah.
missed one shot in 45 seconds, and I missed the record by 1 point. I needed to make, so I've got to
Everyone,
make
yeah.
essentially all of them
Yeah.
or figure out a way to shoot faster. The guy that you're talking about, I've
Yeah.
seen his shoot rate is way faster
It's
than mine.
insane.
It almost looks like it is. I can see why you would think it was
Yeah.
fake because it almost looks computer
He just
Looks like a
generated.
robot.
It's literally
scoop
grab, feed, shoot, and it
Yeah.
never stops.
He must have been practiced like nonstop for decades.
That's exactly what he's done.
Whatever
I mean,
it
he
is.
is. But it is pretty
Since
incredible.
he could walk.
But look, I'd like to get you and Legs on a real court,
I got access to a court anytime he wants.
and that would be fun.
I get the Cavs. The Cavs can hook us up with that.
I mean, he played in the NBA, Mike. No offense.
And listen, he literally, we had him on the show.
He's awesome.
I always used to ask him this. So if I put you on a floor right now and gave you 10 3-point shots, how many you hit?
He's making 7.
He always says 7, 8,
He's making 7.
maybe 9.
Yeah.
It's just muscle memory.
Yeah.
And it's baked in the cake. And even now,
Yeah.
he can.
He's still a
Last thing, real quick on this before we
He's
move
still a
on.
great shooter.
You know, in the movie Blue Chips with
Yes.
Nick Nolte,
Yeah.
Bob Cousy plays the athletic director, and he's just shooting and he's making every shot. Apparently, that was legit. Like they didn't.
Really?
It wasn't like they pieced it together. He was just shooting and making every shot.
everything. Wow.
However old he
Pretty
was
impressive.
at the time, I don't. You know.
Yeah, he had to
60
be old.
Yeah.
All right. Are we going to do the Myles Garrett thing? I know we touched on
No,
it.
we're just going to go right into the Cavs topic that we had set up because this
Okay.
team's chemistry is absolutely elite. And I know Mike and I
unbelievable.
really wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, we've got a piece of video. This was from practice yesterday,
Yesterday,
right?
yeah.
So yesterday at practice, Donovan Mitchell wanted to surprise Kenny Atkinson with the Coach of the Month award. So let's roll this video, and then we'll talk about it on the back.
Happy birthday, Kenny. Bring it. Yeah. Second month in a row. Coach of the month.
Come on, man. Get in the center, man.
You know, I owe it to you guys.
All shots, you know. No, but it's about this group. It's about your identity. We're just empowering you. That's all we're doing. It's real simple. Group was great already. Keep growing. Keep saying, like, when you're this connected, you can do something really special. So that's what I feel where we're headed. All right? Is that good enough?
Kenny, we're together. 1, 2, 3. Together.
That's it, really, together. And I know that was kind of the mantra of the 2016, 2016 championship team. But I'll give you my quick takeaways, and then I'm interested in your thoughts. When I watched it the first time, I thought, it's like I'm watching a high school team with the fun and the love and the camaraderie, number one. Number two, I've witnessed during my career over the last 37 years, the one thing that pro sports can't, no matter how hard they try, they can't duplicate what you can in high school and college is that. Because it's a profession. It's not a game. It's not for fun. It's for money. And when money's involved, it changes everything. Now, college football, 5 years down the road, we're already seeing the problems, how it's less fun for a lot of people, and a lot of coaches are walking away. But in all of my years of being around professional sports teams, I can only think of a handful of times where I've watched the team and said, wow, it doesn't look like I'm watching professionals. It looks like I'm watching a group of guys do this because it's an extracurricular at high school, or it's just something that they have so much fun doing that they would actually do it for free. And that you can't put a price tag on, and that is one of the most necessary elements to winning is chemistry and camaraderie, and this team has it at 100.
Yeah, I mean, you could win without the best chemistry if you're
can.
loaded with talent, but if it's going to raise the level of your talent having chemistry like this. I mean, for all the things we talked about before as to why the Cavs are so good, one thing we didn't mention before, we've mentioned it in the past, but not before in the show, what is the chemistry? I mean, that's really special. I don't mean to pour salt in the wounds, but the last team I felt like this about, the chemistry, was the 2016 Cubs. They played like that. Like, remember when the Cubs won, they carried David Ross on their shoulders. You know, the backup catcher, because he was like so special, and they had this. They were always goofing around on the bench, and you know, I don't know if it's going to end up in a championship for the Cavs. Who knows? But I feel like the past couple of years, in a way, we looked at them as being too soft or too nice. There's too many nice guys, and I think the fact that there are so many nice guys has contributed to this chemistry. Now it's become a positive. Now, if they lose in the playoffs, who knows where we'll spin it or what the negative tone will be. But right now, it feels like a major positive that you have these guys who love playing together. It's led to the most unselfish basketball in an era of basketball that is more selfish than ever. This team is the opposite.
Yeah.
Couldn't be more opposite, and that's why and that's why fans love watching this team, because they feel like an outlier from this era of the NBA.
You can measure offensive efficiency. You can measure defensive efficiency. You can measure rebounding rate. You can measure shot selection and shot chart. You can measure all these things in today's NBA. They wear these little heart monitors. Every single player wears them on every single team that can tell you exactly how fast you're running, how much effort you're exerting, when you're diving, should you be running. You can measure everything, right?
Yeah.
Can't measure certain intangibles, and chemistry is one of those intangibles that there is no statistic that says X equals Y equals chemistry. But I believe, back to what Jay said, it's kind of the Cavs' secret weapon this season is their chemistry.
Yeah.
And we talked about making the extra pass and the unselfishness they're playing with this season. Well, why do you do that? Because you know who you're passing to is going to do the same thing to you if the roles were reversed. And you can see it in that video right there. You can see it anytime we're in the locker room after a home game. The videos come out literally every game now because they do so many numbers on social media. Spencer Davies does a great job kind of piecing together the locker room shenanigans they pull. But Donovan or Darius can't get off an answer without one of the other ones chirping them in the background. And we had, in the last game before Christmas, Darius revealed Donovan's middle name, which may not sound like a lot. Donovan had kept that off all social media. It wasn't on his Wikipedia page. It wasn't on his basketball reference page. Donovan was jokingly...
What is it?
Vernell, by the way.
Oh.
Donovan Vernell Mitchell, which had never been said before. And Donovan stopped the interview and goes, "You just gave my full government name. How dare you?" And stormed off into the showers and then came back, and Darius was like, "I think he might be mad at me." And Donovan came back out and wasn't mad whatsoever. But like those little things, you can't say that leads to winning.
Yeah.
But it leads to being more unselfish on the court. And it leads to, hey, I know it's the third night of a 4-game stretch where we're playing all these games. Do I really want to take that extra half step to get into the right help defensive position to take a charge? Well, you do it for your brothers. You may not do it just for someone you're playing with. You do it for family.
I think it does lead to winning, Mike. I mean,
no. I'm saying tangibly, like you can't say that equals, but it
you
does.
can't say it's
lead to
worth
winning.
6 wins a year.
Sure,
but you know it when you see it.
Yes.
And this team is dripping with it. Like
the
year the Bucks won the Super Bowl, I've talked about that on the show before. They had some really weird things going on with that team because the general vibe was togetherness and fun. But behind the scenes, there were some major rifts going on. You know, Warren Sapp and Keyshawn Johnson were never boys. Mm-hmm. You know, and there were some things that were going on. But in general, it was John Gruden brought the bag of fun. Let's go. Let's go win this thing. And you're right, the 16 Cubs, I'd forgotten about that. I spent just the playoffs around them.
Yeah.
And it was, it was very obvious to me. David Ross had a number of seasons worked the postseason for us at ESPN.
Right, yeah.
So I had really gotten to know David. And then when they're back in the playoffs and he wasn't able to work for us again, we spent a lot of time with him, even though he wasn't working for us. He was catching for the Cubs. And he peeled the curtain back for us. And we saw a lot of what was going on with that team. And it was just like, man, this is almost an unstoppable avalanche. Mm-hmm. And that's where the Cavs are. I feel like this Cavs team is exactly the same as that Bucks team that won the Super Bowl in 2003 and the Cubs team that won the World Series in 2016. It's fun.
And don't you think when you have this chemistry, and again, we'll see it whether it plays out this way or not when it really matters in the postseason, but it feels like when you get to those tense moments, those big spots, that the guys are going to believe in each other.
Yeah.
That sometimes you see teams play unselfishly occasionally, but at crunch time, dribble, because I don't really trust it. That's not really there. For this team, it feels like this is it. This is just how they're going to play. It's why Earl yesterday said, maybe they will play 11 or 12 guys in the playoffs because it feels like you trust everybody. Now, they won't go that far, but the Cavs will probably play more guys than the average team in the playoffs because of the type of team they are.
And it also helps when everyone's playing at the level they are right now. Which, if you go across the board, they're all shooting and playing at about where they've been at their best. Like, nobody's playing below what you would expect.
Right.
And they're all playing pretty significantly higher. And even though the numbers don't always indicate that because they're playing so few minutes. I mean, hell, Donovan and Darius played like 62 minutes each in a back-to-back. In 2 games they've won on a West Coast road trip. Like, that's what you dream of in a back-to-back in December. So, some of the box score stats may look a little lower, but they're playing fewer minutes.
While other teams are obsessed with the box score obsessed with the highlight reel, obsessed with taking days off. The Cavs are obsessed with winning.
Yeah.
And having fun. And that makes it fun for us.
It does. They're at a time when the ratings in the NBA are down, and they're down significantly.
Yeah.
Here in Cleveland, that's not the case.
Right.
They've captured the city.
They have.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for tomorrow to be done with. So they don't have to compete with the Browns because, quite frankly, the Browns haven't deserved the attention that we and all the other media outlets have given them. Yeah. And it won't be an option moving forward. After tomorrow, with the exception of, your postmortem and the guys that will be fired and the coaches that will leave, you're not going to hear much about the Browns until the draft rolls around.
Well, free agency. But that's still 2 months till free agency.
So the Cavs have an opportunity to bask in the spotlight for the next couple of months, and that love affair with the city and the team is going to grow even more.
Yep.
But it's funny how the league ratings have dropped 25%. I don't know what their Cavs ratings are up this year.
I have no idea.
But at one point it was 25%. So while the rest of the league is down 25%, the Cavaliers are up 25%.
Do you guys get the sense that this particular Cavs group, like this squad of 15 guys, has embraced Cleveland in a way that previous Cavs and Guardians and Browns teams may have not?
Nah.
And I'm asking
I don't
someone
know
who's
that
been
it's
here
embraced
long
the
enough.
city. I feel like they've embraced themselves. They've embraced what the organization is doing. I mean, not to say that they don't respect and appreciate the fandom, because they do, and they've made comments about how they love playing in front of the home fans. Every team does. I just feel like, they all are aware that something special is going on. And that's a rare moment in sports history.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I think that's fleeting. With the Buccaneers, that lasted 1 year.
Yeah.
When they came back the next year, now I had left. I had gone after they won the Super Bowl. I went to ESPN. But not until it was past their training camp. So I covered the next year's training camp. And you could see right away, boy, that honeymoon didn't last.
Yeah.
There were just fractures in the foundation.
They couldn't hold it together another
It was
year.
almost impossible.
Yeah.
And within a matter of 2 years, the whole thing was a wreck. And Gruden's job there, and by the way, Gruden being mentioned, I wanted to bring that up. Gruden's being mentioned as being vetted by some NFL teams for a comeback. Would you be interested in Gruden here in Cleveland? He was born in Sandusky.
Yeah, I'm just so worried about bringing back one of these old coaches.
Now, this isn't just an old coach. This is John Gruden.
I know, but he sucked with the Raiders. And
he had some time. He had a good season with the Raiders.
Overall, I don't know what was his record with the Raiders. I don't think it was very good.
I thought he had 1 year where he was really good.
Well, didn't they had that weird game with the Chargers where if they tied, they both made the playoffs, and they didn't. I could be totally wrong on that, but they had that weird Week 18 or 17 game against Brandon Staley and the Chargers.
I thought that was the Redskins, but
no, it's definitely a Raiders-Chargers game.
Okay, well then the Raiders were the winner of that because the Chargers missed the playoffs because of that.
Yeah, I don't even
so
know.
Gruden in Oakland went 4-12, 7-9, 8-8, 3-2, fired.
Okay, so he got better every year.
So it wasn't terrible.
He got better every year, and his firing. By the way, we haven't heard that whole story.
No.
There is so much to that. It was the discovery of the Redskins email.
Yeah.
And they found some of his, and there's all kinds of conspiracies that Roger Goodell
it was a whole
had a hit on John Gruden, and he had to be gone, and they actually used the discovery of those email to get John Gruden fired. But this is the first season that I've actually read that teams are doing some due diligence on John Gruden, and his name is coming back to the surface.
We mentioned that little clip about the locker room thing with Darius and Donovan.
Yeah.
Earl actually had it on video. You want to hear it real quick?
I would love to see it. Yeah, I didn't see that.
It's pretty funny. It's from last week.
Let's take a look.
Definitely different, but hopefully it never happens again.
Did you know who the culprit was yet?
I'm not a
Tristan Thompson! Wow!
Yo, TT.
Thought so.
That was Donovan Vernell Mitchell. Oh, Yo, TT.
That's what we doing?
TT, that's crazy, bro.
Full government?
Check that, TT. Whenever you're on Twitter tonight on X.
Full government?
Check Don.
All right, say less.
Kenny threw on the bus too.
Oh, damn. KA.
So that was Donovan in the background
Full
yelling.
government.
Yeah.
That is pretty funny.
Good times in the Cavs locker room.
Yeah, no. Hey, winning
Good
is
vibes
fun.
all around, yeah.
Winning is fun.
By the way, one other thing that stood out from the first video we played was I thought Kenny Atkinson was taller. He looks really small against the.
Everyone looks small.
The average human in an NBA
yeah.
locker room looks tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
I thought he was like NBA height. But
No,
he's not.
No. But
normal Italian dude.
Yeah. Normal Italian.
wow.
He's very
You say normal
Italian.
Italian dude?
Yeah.
He did.
I mean, he's
You got beef? We have a
No,
we have to
I
have
just
dogs?
Saying Italian dudes aren't very tall.
It's true, we're not.
yeah, he's normal size.
All right, guys, we got 2 super chats here to wrap up the show today. Jeffrey Moody says 9 QBs in 2 years because Baker wasn't the guy. That's karma. And then Salvatore, the 216, says, what's the worst take from Sean so far? That Winston is an amazing QB or that Melo is better than DG? His DG take is out of line, and we can't let that slide.
Wait, I missed that. What did he say?
Sean King said LaMelo Ball is better than Darius Garland.
I mean, I understand where he's coming from. Like,
That comes from a place he doesn't see enough of Darius Garland. That's what that comes from.
I mean, LaMelo has
and
much
Darius
better,
Garland from last year.
Yeah,
he's probably right.
LaMelo Ball has much better stats. I mean,
Yeah.
if do you think if a team was you know the NBA better than we do?
Yeah, every team has a choice between one or the
Who
other.
would they take?
Who are most of the teams taking?
If they are starting a team from scratch, it's probably LaMelo. If you want a guy,
wow.
at least 6'7" dude who has
Yeah,
all
I
the
mean-
skills, but like he's never done anything in his career that indicates he's part of a winning
Right.
culture. Like
No.
ever.
He's a more skilled player.
yes
than
and
Darius.
He's 6'7". He's a
It's not crazy. The problem with what Sean said is he made it seem like they're here and here.
yeah. No.
That he went too far with that. Not necessarily. I'm just saying LaMelo's not a winning player,
I agree with that. Yeah, I 100% agree with that.
and he's never played in a playoff game.
No.
So
I would take Darius.
And my point yesterday was in the NBA, unlike the NFL and Major League Baseball, there's always on bad teams there's guys that put up meaningless stats.
Yeah.
In baseball, every player on the team can suck. Nobody has to have a great year.
No.
There was nobody on the White Sox that had a
But in
great
the
year.
NBA, somebody's got to score.
Somebody's got to score. It's the
Yeah.
nature of the game. A team's not going to finish with 50 points every night. Somebody's got to score. There's always going to be at least one guy that puts up a lot of points on a regular basis.
All right, that's it for our YouTube show. We're running over to WKYC. If you're local, that's Channel 3 here in Cleveland. If you're not, download the WKYC app and watch us there. See you in a bit.
Peace.